Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
It's simple.
Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, National Action Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice. So I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now.
It's Friday.
We can win. You must never
May
stop
the
dreaming.
1st, May Day, International Workers' Day, labor movement all over the world acknowledging May Day. It's globally known as International Workers' Day, honoring workers' rights and labor movements. And it originates in Haymarket Affair in Chicago, where workers protested for an 8-hour workday. And it's celebrated all over the world today, 8-hour workday. So do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time on this May Day. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. And welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And it is Friday, so it is Exhale Friday. On Fridays, we open up the phones and let you talk about whatever is on your mind, whatever is in your heart. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on the message board and send me a message. I'll read it over the air at nationalactionnetwork.net, nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can, of course, go to our National Action Network Twitter. But if you want it read on the air, go to nationalactionnetwork.net to live stream and send me a message. Like Henderson is sending me a message saying, good afternoon. Time to not get busy, but stay busy. We can't go back. I'm with you, Henderson. Can't go back. And James Thomas is saying, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton and everyone, and happy Exhale. Hold my mule Friday to all. Well, he's talking about Bishop Cavendish that usually calls in at the end our week. And this has been a week. A lot to talk about today. Now, first and foremost, they are now doing all kind of maturations around the Supreme Court ruling that took the heart out of the Voting Rights Act and permitted the state of Louisiana to redraw its lines and literally draw out a black district. And it is clear that they're going to use this all over the country. And it's clear we need a strategy and mobilization to move against this, because I think we can. I know we can. And I've been talking to groups, leaders all weekend on where the next moves are. First of all, many of the Congressional Black Caucus members are in districts that are not just based on race. They are winning them anyway. Those that are, we need to really deal with this. So let's talk about that. I'm doing a special on my television show tomorrow night, Saturday night, at 5 o'clock Eastern Time on MS Now, where I'm going to deal with this whole flashpoint of voting rights in America. And Hakeem Jeffries is going to be on. The congressman from Louisiana, New Orleans, Troy Carter is going to be on. Eric Holder is going to be on, the former Attorney General of the United States. I'm going to have on Benny Thompson from Mississippi and Sidney Calamer of Dove from California. I'm going to have the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus to find out what is their intent. So, and then I'm going to follow up on Sunday with the other congressman from Louisiana, Cleo Fields and Ayanna Presley. It's going to be 2 days of really getting in it because it is about that. And clearly, voting rights, everything else we want to talk about, Affordable Care Act, affordability, minimum wage, tariffs, reparations, all of that is going to come down to our having voting rights, the right to vote. Because you will not be able, without the right to vote, you will not be able to put people in office that will vote our interests. Just that simple. And anyone that talks to you about they want to see this done or that done, but they don't want to vote or tell people don't vote, you need to just say thank you and go on, keep walking, because they're wasting your time. Because none of that is going to happen unless you put people in office. Now, let's just stop playing with ourselves. I don't care if you believe in separatism or integration. You can't get your part of town unless some local city council votes that you have that part of town. You ain't gonna have no armed struggle, so quit playing with us. So let's talk about this. Some of y'all don't understand. We got to kneel down and get this straight. That's how they got it in the first place. So I'm gonna spend a lot of time this weekend on both nights with a special show on how we deal with this. And as I promised, I'm gonna have people right in the thick of it. I want the minority leader of the House to explain to us what do we do, and Hakeem will be on. I want the head of the Congressional Black Caucus, what do we do, and Yvette Clarke will be on. I want Eric Holder, who was the Attorney General under Obama and warned about this, and it was the suit against him that started this whole knocking down of the voting rights. Shelby versus Holder. He's the holder in that. He'll be on. If you ever watch Politics Nation, watch it tomorrow, Saturday at 5 p.m., and Sunday at 5 p.m. I'm having them on different ones, different weekend, different night of the weekend, but all of them live. And you need to tell your family and all that. You need to really understand how we're being disenfranchised. In the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, which did not include us, they are now trying to take the last vestige of the labor civil rights coalition that got us the voting rights and the Voting Rights Act. And you should not be too busy to hear the strategy on both tomorrow and the next day. I mean, you have 7 House seats that could shift to the GOP as a result of this. 7. This is according to the Cook Political Report, is that you have in Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and South Carolina, those states can be redrawn to favor Republicans after this court decision. And that means key incumbent Democrats, Troy Carter, who I'm going to have on the show tomorrow, Cleo Fields, who's going to be on the show Sunday, Terry Sewell, and Shamari Figueroa are lone Democrats in these states, and they can be affected. Also, Benny Thompson of Mississippi, who I'm going to have on, can be affected. Steve Cohen in Tennessee can be affected. And the venerable Jim Clyburn is at risk. This is about as serious as it can get. And it would keep the majority of the Congress, of the House of Representatives, in the hands of the Republicans. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how Louisiana is delaying its primary, hoping to start stacking new guidelines. What do we need to do about it? Also, I want to talk about the 60-day war powers deadline. It falls on today, and this war powers resolution of 1973 says that you must have approval from the Congress, or you begin withdrawing U.S. forces after a continued military operation. Trump is saying it's unconstitutional. How is it unconstitutional? Because he would have to get the permission of Congress by midnight tonight, or he'd have to start withdrawing troops from Iran. He says it's unconstitutional. So lawmakers are debating that. Let's talk about that. And we will take your calls and your input right after the break. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
All over the world today, people are gathered in love vigils to celebrate the life of a man that taught the world how to love. People may be wondering why there's such an emotional outburst, but you would have to understand the journey of Michael to understand what he meant to all of us. For these that sit here as the Jackson family, a mother and father with 9 children that rose from a working class family in Gary, Indiana. They had nothing but a dream. No one believed in those days that these kind of dreams could come true. But they kept on believing, and Michael never let the world turn him around from his dreams. I first met Michael around 1970, Black Expo, Chicago, Illinois, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who stood by this family till now. And from that day as a cute kid to this moment, he never gave up dreaming. It was that dream that changed culture all over the world. When Michael started, it was a different world. But because Michael kept going, because he didn't accept limitations, because he refused to let people decide his boundaries, he opened up the whole world. In the music world, he put on one glove, pulled his pants up, and broke down the color curtain, where now our videos are shown and magazines put us on the cover. It was Michael Jackson that brought blacks and whites and Asians and Latinos together. It was Michael Jackson that made us sing "We Are the World" and feed the hungry long before Live Aid. Because Michael Jackson kept going, he created a comfort level where people that felt they were separate became interconnected with his music. And it was that comfort level that kids from Japan and Ghana and France and Iowa and Pennsylvania got comfortable enough with each other to later it wasn't strange to us to watch Oprah on television. It wasn't strange to watch Tiger Woods golf. Those young kids grew up from being teenage, comfortable fans of Michael to being 40 years old and being comfortable to vote for a person of color to be the president of the United States of America. Michael did that. Michael made us love each other. Michael taught us to stand with each other. There are those that like to dig around mess, but millions around the world, we're going to uphold his message. It's not about mess, it's about his love message. As you climb up steep mountains, sometimes you scar your knee, sometimes you break your skin, but don't focus on the scars, focus on the journey. Michael Beater, Michael rose to the top. He outsang his cynics. He outdanced his doubters. He outperformed the pessimists. Every time he got knocked down, he got back up. Every time you counted him out, he came back in. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. I want to say to Mrs. Jackson and Joe Jackson, his sisters and brothers, we thank you for giving us someone that taught us love, someone that taught us hope. We want to thank you because we know it was your dream too. And we know that your heart is broken. I know you have some comfort from the letter from the President of the United States and Nelson Mandela, but this was your child. This was your brother. This was your cousin. Nothing will fill your heart's loss. But I hope the love that people are showing will make you know he didn't live in vain. And I want his 3 children to know, wasn't nothing strange about your daddy. It was strange what your daddy had to deal with. But he dealt with it. He dealt with it anyway. He dealt with it for us. So some came today, Mrs. Jackson, to say goodbye to Michael. I came to say thank you. Thank you because you never stopped. Thank you because you never gave up. Thank you because you never gave out. Thank you because you tore down our divisions. Thank you because you eradicated barriers. Thank you because you gave us hope. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. that I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
Don't take that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed because
Reverend Al Sharpton, this Exhale Friday. Let me tell you, I think some people are sleeping through a total upheaval of this country's standards and world standing, and a total attempt to eradicate the gains of the civil rights movement and put us back into pre-1950 America, where they're openly in your face taking away any vestige of giving you voter protection. Just straight out taking that. Straight out saying we will draw the lines of districts around the country based on keeping the right wing in power. And if you don't stand up now, your children and your children's children will be very, very much living under worse circumstances than we did. Now, Reverend Al, you exaggerating. Okay, if I'm exaggerating, explain to me how, since they passed the Affordable Care Act, that people could go and buy their medicine and deal with their health care needs at a certain cost, that now the premiums have tripled. Explain to me how you live in the same house, but now you're going to be in a different district with people that don't represent you and don't know you as your Congress people. So let's quit ducking where we at. This is a real seismic shift, and we must be prepared to deal with it. From the streets to our community gatherings, from churches to fraternities, everybody, all hands on deck. And I don't want to hear none of you conspiracy theorists, and you super progressives that told people don't vote in 24. Y'all put us in this stuff. Y'all like to call people out when I'm calling y'all out. Y'all put us in this predicament. Kamala Harris got more votes than anybody in the history of the country, more votes than Barack Obama, more votes than Joe Biden. Only one got more votes than her was Donald Trump, who won. And a lot of you so-called, I don't know what you call it, you call yourself progressive. Progress for who? Is progress to put Donald Trump back in the White House? That's progress to you. It's progress so grandma now can't afford her medicine. That's progress to you. And you don't even have the decency or respect to say, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe my strategy didn't work. Because you ain't done nothing but holler and scream since then. Nothing. And it's time to let us quit playing with ourselves. These people are not playing with us. Anytime you have a president in your face say, yeah, we're going to take away voter protection. Yep, I think the Supreme Court did the right thing. And then come the next day saying, I'm not dealing with the War Powers Act. I know, yeah, I'm supposed to go before Congress within 60 days of war or withdraw troops. I'm not paying that. It's unconstitutional. In your face. Akeem Smith is on the message board saying Reverend Sharpton, ABC News, reporting Trump slapped 25% tariffs on cars and trucks from Europe. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So, if I had been out there using my platforms, telling people don't vote, telling people there was no difference between Kamala and Trump did all this, ended DEI, took away voting rights, having people killed over in Iran with undeclared war, and saying anything about Congress. If I had said that, y'all would be all over me everywhere, and you'd be right. But these other folk you let go in the name of their progressive, they are not progressive. I'm not even going to call them a name, because it's not about name calling. Christopher Jeremiah is on the message board. He says something I love. He says, Reverend Sharpton, do you remember when Trump said, what do you have to lose for voting for Trump? Well, we just found out. Christopher, you said a mouthful. He said that. What y'all got to lose? Yeah, you got everything to lose. Your health care insurance, your vote. What else you got to lose? So, I mean, it is XL Friday. Let's go to the phone. Let me go, as I love to end the week, hearing first from my beloved friend in Chicago, Illinois, the beloved Miss Eunice of Chicago. Miss Eunice.
Good afternoon, Reb. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Wonderful. And you know, Reb, I agree with you about all these provocateurs. When we gain, they gain. That's what angers me so much, but we can't look at it that way. We just got to go forward. And I'm going to start out by saying this Pete Hegseth is a despicable, smart-aleck person. When he's being questioned by the committee, he talks over them, and they would have to shout him down, and he would not answer the question. And he's running around spending taxpayers' dollars like a drunken sailor, which his own mother said he was a drinker and abuser of women. And he has no regard for troops who lost their lives and the wounded. And health care, some of us have no health care, SNAP money, gas prices going up, no money for schools, and they're still talking about a war that they cannot explain. And it just goes on and on. And here we have Todd Blanche filing frivolous lawsuits. I can't forget what Comey did, but Hillary was running when Hillary was running for president. And right is right. I don't care who you are, and you can call the roll on this administration, the people that are working there. And this Kash Patel had the nerve to say, I don't drink on the job. But what's the difference if you get drunk off the job and you come to work and
Right.
can't do your job? Can
Right.
you tell me what's the difference?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And with this gerrymandering going on, what we have to do, the people of goodwill, faith and political persuasion, black, brown, or white, we all have to come together for the good of all, because they don't care about us. They don't care nothing about no color. It's all about the rich, and that's what they want to keep doing. And I love when Bishop come on and hold the mule. He make me want to get a mule.
I hope he's on today. I hope he's on today.
I just love him. And also, Reb, I'm going to tell you, you always talk about the blueberry pie.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up a lot of time, because I'm going to tell you my biscuit story one of these days, okay?
I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I I might use it in a commercial. I'm getting ready to celebrate 15 years of my TV show, so I'm going to do some new commercials.
Oh, yeah. I've been right there with you.
Oh, yeah, I know you
So
have.
I'm getting ready, Rev, to celebrate that 93 on the 29th of June.
Oh, my God. All right, 93
Yes.
and still counting, still spunky as ever.
Oh, I'm going to say I'll be there.
All
and
right.
thank you for taking my call, and you have a wonderful weekend. As usual, hello to the family.
God bless you, especially Miss Eunice. Let's take a break. Be right back. It's Exhale Friday. Whatever's on your mind, whatever's in your heart, keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving...
Bye. dream today.
Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. It's XL Friday, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Send me a message on live stream. I was reading somebody from Albuquerque that sent something over the live stream that talked about they had a building. I wanted to see what that was because I'm getting ready to go on 23 to see a tour. We can come through Albuquerque and set up shop there. We definitely needed that. Y'all try to pull that up. Let me go back to the phones. Let me go to Ray in Cincinnati while we're looking for that. Ray in Cincinnati, the buzz. You're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Thanks for taking my call, Rev. I'll keep this quick. When it comes to this redistricting, I'm surprised Louisiana put a hold on the primaries when the ballots, mail-in ballots, were already sent out. That should be against the law.
That's right.
And I'm surprised no one is challenging that. You know, I mean, I heard Mark Elias, he was on the Cole Walsh's show yesterday, and he didn't bring anything like that can be challenged. So,
well, you can bet I'm going to bring it up tomorrow night because I'm going to have the congressman from New Orleans on, and I'm going to have Eric Holder on, and I'm going to have Hakeem Jeffries on. I'm going to bring it up. Why aren't they trying to? And if the ballots were already sent out, how are you going to retrace a primary that was already set up? Ballots already set up, meaning that there was already the candidates announced. there should be an injunction right now. I don't care. The Supreme Court decision should not preempt going or should not go backwards retroactively to work that was already done. If that's the case, they can unseat everybody.
I agree with you. And then one last point, that here we're at it again, because here in Cincinnati, we got guys calling our radio station talking about that they black. They won't vote for Kamala Harris because it's not time for a black woman.
Yeah,
well,
then they voting for Donald Trump. Tell them there only was two people running: Donald Trump, Kamala Harris. If you're not voting for her, you're voting for Trump, and you know it. So quit jiving, quit double talking, quit trying to rationalize it. Just say you with Trump, so we know where you at, because you know what the results are. And I think we give these people too much, rope to play games. They know what they're doing. This wasn't the first time Trump ran. Trump ran before. And they know what Trump represented. So if they're willing to do that, I don't care who was running against Trump. They should have been blocking Trump. So if you that insecure that you don't want a woman, then there's something wrong with you, not her. And
how can
and then talk about, she was in law enforcement. Donald Trump told y'all he gonna lock everybody up. I mean, what about that are you trying to? I can't even believe they believe it themselves. I think they are just either hired or multi-stupid, not just regular stupid. Is that a word, Jay? Multi-stupid? Go ahead, Ray. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, my bad. It's amazing how a woman who has over 70 million votes, 70 million, you got more votes than Barack Obama, than Joe Biden.
That's right.
Than George Bush. I don't understand their way of thinking. I guess they're the type where, back in slavery, they would rather still be a slave because they get to sleep at night and be at 3 square meals a day than to be free.
Yep.
Those are those kind of people.
Yep. And let me tell you something. I was reading the other day in my meditation. When in the Bible, for all of my biblical studying listeners, when Pharaoh let the children of Israel go, most of the Israelites stayed in Egypt because they did not believe they could be free. And the same thing happened with those in slavery that said, leave the master's house. Malcolm X said in his famous speech message to the grassroots made at Reverend Charles Williams Church, where we going? Ain't nothing better than this. You got them kind of people, and we need to call them out and say it is you kind that never believed we could be something and do something. But we're going to do it anyhow, because I'm going to work with those that do believe and those that are going to stand up, because those are the ones that made progress. Everybody in Selma wasn't marching across that bridge. It was the few that paid the price. Everybody in Birmingham didn't go down there and get arrested and have dogs bite them. It was the few that paid the price. And we got to pay the price because if we don't, no change will come. I mean, I'm fine. I make a decent living. I'm out there. But I got to pay a price for my grandson because they're taking everything back. And by the time he get voting age, he may not have a vote at all. And that's how we got to understand this thing. Let me go to D in Atlanta, Georgia. Sister D in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, Reverend Al.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking my call, and I thank you and appreciate you so very much for all that you do. Reverend Al, I'm not as old as Miss Eunice. I hope to get there one day.
I do, too.
But, Reverend Al, I'm right here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I do remember as a child having to ride in the backs of buses. And I remember going to Rich's department store, now Macy's, where they had black and white, colored and white water fountains. So I've been and as a Spelman College student, I've been fighting this all my life, Reverend Al. And I think it's ironic that this Supreme Court declared that we are a post-racial society when we have the most racist presidency in modern American history. Trump came in, as soon as he took office, he attacked DEI and fired thousands of black and brown workers. Post-racial in America, it's a joke, it's a lie. The question is, why? Republicans have recognized for years, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, Reb, they see the browning of America. White women aren't having as many babies. Republicans can't win fairly, so they need to cheat, gerrymander, do all they can to maintain power. And they cannot do it, Rev, fairly. And that's just my opinion. I thank you for allowing me to release that, because my heart has been real heavy. We knew that was coming. We just hoped that maybe it wouldn't, that ruling, but it did. And now, especially on the local levels, we need to do all we can to maintain power if it's just voting for the dog catcher.
Thank you for your call. As always, you right on point. And I'd rather have the dog catcher than what we got now. And if I sound passionate about it, it's because I am. If I sound angry about it, it's because I am. You know, I was 13, 15 years behind John Lewis and Hosea Williams and Jesse Jackson, who mentored me. But I knew them. I sat and heard them tell how they were beaten just to get us the right to vote. Hosea, tear gas. Miss Amelia Boykin, I sat and talked with her. I owe it to them because God put me in a place where I could talk to them. I owe it to them to not let this go down like this. And I'm going to pay my debt. Now, you can get mad at me, or you can do whatever you want. I talked directly to those in history. I watched John Lewis go across that bridge, remembering how he was beaten. Maybe it was a movie to you. Maybe it didn't mean nothing to you. But I don't think God put me in that position if it was not to hold me accountable to do something about it. So I don't know about y'all, but we're going to do some stuff this summer to turn this around and to get that vote out. And they can call me every name they want. They can attack me on Fox News. They can have you rent-a-toms come out talking about something pie in the sky that you know you're not going to get. Come on with it. Come on with it, because I'm not backing up one step from any of it, because I am not going to let the blood of our people shed for nothing. I'm not going to let it be shed for some racist that think they got a new shot at disenfranchising us and taking away our health care. And I'm not intimidated by no punks who rather fight us than to fight the enemy. That's right, I said punks, because that's all they are. Trump done everything but call you the N-word in public, and you mad at older black leaders or mad at women. You're a punk, because you won't fight the real enemy, who got the real power. You fight who you think you can get away with it. Let's take a break. It's Exhale Friday. I just exhaled. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. That's what I do. Sharpton, that's my name. We'll be right back. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected.
If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first and we'll be last. We know who we are.
Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
We need some room. All right, hold on. Michael Jackson is the highest selling artist of all time. No one has sold more records in the history of the planet than Michael Jackson. But Michael Jackson said to us, he did not want to just raise the issue of what's happening with him. He said that artists all over the world need people to stand up and protect their rights. And he said, Reverend, if we're going to stand up, if it's for all artists, I'm there. As you know, there's a big big rally his fan club is doing this afternoon, but he said, I'm coming to Harlem this morning to meet with community leaders because we want justice in the music industry for all artists. Now there'll be some that say, oh, Michael, are you doing this only because of your situation? Michael came to Harlem 2 months ago for the DNC. Now he comes for his own peers because we discussed it. Kathy and I talked about how we watched James Brown struggle, Little Richard struggle. We've seen artists, black and white and Latino struggle. Somewhere this has to stop. We do not buy records. We do not buy CDs to give money to the company. We buy it to support the artists that we like. And we want the artists to be free. We don't want the companies bigger than the artists. We want the people respected and the stars that we make stars to shine in the galaxy for us. So let me say this is the 4th of July weekend. Michael Jackson is an American story. Him and his family rose from Gary, Indiana, to where he's an icon all over the world. Didn't no one give him anything. He sung, he danced, he created, he produced, he spent hours in the studio. No executive did that for him. You do not have the right to take from someone what you didn't put in them. He created where he is. We appreciated it. We didn't hear about Michael when he got to Sony. We knew Michael with ABC when he was in Gary. They got thrilled when he did Thriller. We was already thrilled. We were already off the wall. And we coming off our seats to stand up for justice in the music industry. And let me say one more thing. I don't need that. Now I'm talking. Now we're on the rail. I want people to hear the message. Let me say something. I read one newspaper said, well, the record company saying they're going to wait and put out the best of Michael Jackson. You can't put out the best of Michael Jackson because the best of Michael Jackson is yet to come. He's still creating. He's still innovating. He's still the king. He's still ours and we're still his. Fans all over the world. Thousands came out in London. Thousands will come out in New York. All over the world, we're going to make it clear that our artists should not be paying back things they had no input in. The promotion budgets. James M. Tuway will lay it out. The video budgets. All of this is charged to the artists, yet the artists have no discretion on what to say. So if they want to buy an ad with their friend, Michael can't tell them buy it in Jet Magazine because they decide the budget and charge it to the artists. That's why many of these artists have no money at the end of their career. But he wanted to fight while he was on top. So it will help your child not have to fight one day to go through what they've had to go through. Sammy Davis Jr. died broke. His wife had to become a waitress. Michael said, I owe it to Sammy. I owe it to James Brown. I owe it to Little Richard. We're going to stop this once and for all.
America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Don't forget the announcements. We're having Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. It's a special tomorrow and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. on MS Now special. I'm going to have live the majority leader of the House. I'm going to have Hakeem Jeffries on. I'm going to have on the congressman from Louisiana that jeopardized with this voting rights decision by the court. I'm going to have him on as my guest, Troy Carter. I'm going to have on former Attorney General Eric Holder. I've got the A-list folks on this issue on tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. And then Sunday, I'm going to have the other congressman directly impacted by the Supreme Court decision, the other one in Louisiana that they're trying to take his district. I'm going to have him on, Cleo Fields, and we'll have Congresswoman Ayanna Presley. I'm going to have several people on that's directly in it. 2 special editions of Politics Nation. Watch both of them tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. You that are in the New York area, meet me in the morning at the Saturday Action rally at Mother AME Zion Church, 140 West 137th Street in Harlem, between Lenox and 7th. I'm looking for you 9 a.m. to 11. You that are not in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area where you could get there, you can watch it live on Impact Television or on nationalactionnetwork.net, our live stream, or on on YouTube/NAN. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. I'm going to lay out where we have to go in my opinion on this voter rights and what a step-by-step plan is. On our message board, DJ Biggs is saying Generation X to Generation Alpha learn not to trust our own leaders from the Black American boomers who never the BA ground roots, the torch to finish, looking to God and ancestors. All right, I really don't know what you're saying, DJ. I will say this, that I guess I'm in the boomer generation, and the generation ahead of me, I think they call the great generation, which would have been John Lewis, Jesse Jackson. Nobody passed no torch to us. We got in there and learned, and when it was our time, we emerged. All this rhetoric about passing the torch, nobody passed the torch to Dr. King. Who passed the torch? Dr. King learned and got up and did what he's supposed to do. Nobody passed the torch. That's a fantasy or an excuse not to get up and do something. I was mentored by Reverend Jackson, but he ain't passed no torch to me because he mentored other people. Some of them did nothing. I got them did something. Everybody in NAN, in leadership, just about, is younger than me. I can't tell you who's going to be the next leader in this town or that town. Reverend Williams is in his maybe 40. Charles Williams, he'll be on the head of Detroit. Cassius Rudolph, who headed our HBCU tour, is just 35. Neither one of my daughters are 40. So I don't know who's going to do. Your job and my job is to do what we're supposed to do, make room for people to learn, and if they learn and grab the torch, that's who's supposed to carry it. But if you wait on somebody to anoint you, that ain't never happened. Who anointed W.E.B. Du Bois? Why do we make up stuff and act like we got an analysis? There ain't no analysis. Leadership and movement comes from within. Can't nobody give you something that you don't have in you to do. I don't care how much. If I handed you a torch, if you don't have the fire inside, it doesn't matter what torch I give you outside. Stop playing with yourself. Zelda Green says, I would never want my grandkids to know anything about a black water fountain and a white water fountain. Please, sir, you and who's got to, you is who we got now. Mr. Jackson is gone. Stand up for all of us. Well, I am standing up, and I'm glad that I learned a lot from Reverend Jackson, and I'm glad he didn't pass no torch. I earned where I am. He was hard on me, and that's why I'm saying all of these pity-panty, pat you on the cheek to coach you, and if somebody got to coach you into leadership, you ain't no leader. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Will in Cleveland, Ohio. Will, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, how you doing? I don't know if I understood what you just said about they would never want their kids to know anything about a black and white water fountain. If
I was reading a note. I was reading a note that somebody put on the board. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying you should want your kids to know that's history that they're trying to stop.
Right.
You understand? But I was just wondering. You know, you see all these people that say that like Latinos. There's like we voted for these Republicans and stuff because we know what dictatorship looked like because we came from these countries and all. They must don't know. They don't know what it looked like because that's what's happening to them now. And a lot of blacks, man, Trump, the other day I saw him say, if this passes, like this killing of voting rights and all this stuff, we could be in power for the next 50 years.
That's right.
He said that out of his mouth. That's their plan to control you, get all the power so they can keep doing these crazy things to you for another century.
That's right.
So if these people don't see that, don't understand that, it's a lost cause, it seems like. Because I don't understand, like you say, you know, I love the fighting you, man, that these people, you know, are trying to do this to you and you just sit back and accept it. And a lot of blacks are still on that get mine stuff. Forget the rest of it. I'm going to get mine. You don't have nothing to get.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just don't understand how they just sit back, accept, and look at this and think that things are going in your direction the right way. You blacks will have no power in America. That's the plan. Latinos are already saying they're trying to pit you against them, saying, hey, they're the number one minority now. You know, so any programs that come, it goes to the Latinos first and all this stuff. So they really got their foot on your neck, man. And if you can't see that, I don't know what's going on.
I thank you for your call, Will. You're absolutely right. And they ain't making they're not even being subtle about it. They telling it in your face. That's why I said, thank you for your call. That's why I said what I said about you being a punk. They're not saying something to you encoded. They tell you straight out, we're ending diversity. Straight out. We don't care about blacks not having no districts. So what about that you don't understand? You can't say, well, you know, I didn't mean, no, they meant it this way. They told you what they mean. And they're doing it. In case you wasn't listening, they wrote it down in Project 2025. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, WURD. Disco Brian.
Hey, Rev. Hey, Rev. Happy Exhale Friday. Thank you for doing this sacred show every day. Rev, we've been doing some field research I'd like to share with you here in Philly. And then if there's time, a little reflection on a segment I saw on Morning Joe yesterday. Yesterday and the night before, Lindsay and I saw the difference between performative politics and substance politics you often talk about, Rev, in real time right here in Philly. Yesterday, we went to the rally for the DSA candidate, who's a representative in the Pennsylvania House, Chris Rabb, here in District 3, where Hassan Piker flew out from L.A. And the night before, we attended a meet and greet with his challenger in the race for Pennsylvania's 3rd District, the Muslim FBA Pennsylvania State Senator Sharif Street, the son of your friend, Rev, John Street, former mayor of Philadelphia. And the contrast was remarkable. At Rabb's rally, the politics were bullhorns, slogans, anti-establishment rage, and a celebrity streamer flown in from L.A. And the two of them treated the audience that had come out to see them as if they were the Beatles in 1965. They didn't talk to anybody. They moved like, hey, we're the rock stars, and you're here to worship us. Whereas at State Senator Sharice Street's meet and greet, Rev, the politics were face-to-face conversations, coalition building, and actual elected leaders standing together. The first Muslim state senator, Sharice Street, standing with Rue Landau, a Jewish lesbian civil rights attorney, and Mark Squilla, an Italian-American council member from South Philly. So that was a really interesting contrast that goes directly to what you're talking about today, Rev, the difference between performance, I guess progressive performance versus actual substance, bullhorn politics versus coalition politics, influencer politics versus public service. And Rev, I want to connect something you said on this show when I called in a couple weeks back with something that I saw yesterday, Morning Joe. When I called you back when the Illinois primary was happening, Illinois' 9th district, and this big popular Aryan influencer, Jennifer Welch, was backing Kat Abu Ghazala, a woman who claims to be Palestinian but looks every bit as white and blonde as Jennifer Welch herself. This whole progressive media lane where the two of them teamed up to attack Team Jeffries, you were crystal clear on this show, Rev. You said essentially, if these progressives want their first shot, let them take it at you, because Hakeem Jeffries has been standing up to Trump and deserves respect. But yesterday, broke my heart, Rev. Morning Joe gave Kat a glowing post-primary platform after she lost that primary to Daniel Biss. And what troubled me wasn't just that they praised her campaign. It was that they treated her as a model for the Democratic Party without reckoning with the deeper factional problem you yourself identified. Rev, Pat said unity has to mean fighting big money and AIPAC. And there's that word. There's that acronym. I would like to
But wait a minute, who did they have on? I don't understand. First of all, I don't really get involved in programming anybody else's show. I go on Joe and Joe, but I don't know how they program it or their rationale. But I'm just out of curiosity. They had who on? She lost the primary?
Yeah. Kat Abu Ghazala. She lost the primary in Illinois' 9th district to Daniel Biss. And all I'm saying, Rev, is that she brought up this issue of AIPAC, and I've never shared with you the first time I heard that.
Yeah, well, I hear that. I hear that a lot. I've never. Well, first of all, nobody gets AIPAC money, so I'm not saying it for that reason. I've never. People got the right to take money from where they want, and people got the right to attack them for taking it. I don't agree with that. If I disagree with somebody taking money from a certain source, I got the right to say that, and people got the right to say it doesn't matter. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
know, you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Now, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
You're live.
Keeping it real. This Exhale Friday, whatever on your heart, whatever's in your mind. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to Deshaun in Washington, D.C.
Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Yeah. So my only issue is that I don't think that the sign language works anymore. Shame, insults, guilt, and they need to be right. Rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. So if you want these young kids to vote Democrat, instead of calling them punks and saying they're stupid, hired agents and informants, I would strongly suggest to sit down and talk to them.
Well, first of all, women, Deshaun, we can have different opinions, we can't have different facts. Nobody called young people nothing. I called people that said that. I don't care what age they are, punks. And that's what I feel they are. And we can sit down and talk, and they can call me what they want to call me, and then we can sit down and have an agreement. But don't I say young people. In fact, I laid out how many young people work with us here. So it's not a generation thing. You got old people sitting around saying things. You got middle-aged people. So I didn't say that. That's one. Secondly, I think that if people think what I'm doing is wrong and want to call me or something, fine. I think what we've got to get out of this, Sean, is people thinking that they can take a shot. Oh, y'all in the system. Oh, y'all too moderate. Oh, y'all are this, that, or other. But somebody come back and say, well, maybe you're an agent for Trump. Oh, you can't call me a name. If you don't want to get into that, don't start that. You can't call people names and tell people don't call names. You just did.
No, I didn't.
I'm not saying you. I'm talking about some of the people. They want immunity. They want people to say, I can tell you old guys to sit down and shut up, you're a bunch of sellouts. And somebody say, yeah, and you probably are agent for Trump. Man, don't call me no name. Well, then why you calling somebody sellouts? You can't have it both ways. If you get in the ring and swing, expect somebody to swing back because nobody's scared of them.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, exactly. The way that I look at it is like this. And like I said before, we have been voting Democrat since the 60s. And I'm not telling anybody who to vote for. And I think that people are saying, wow, Baltimore is still effed up. We got the worst schools in the country. Chicago, still effed up. Democrats running. I think they're saying that the risk reward for our blind loyalty to the Democratic Party is not lining up. Support our continued support. I think that's what they're saying.
And I think that there's
You're not talking about.
I think that there's a lot of truth in that. I think that the Democratic Party has not done everything it should, could, or would do. I just think the alternative is worse.
That's true, but that is also subjective. That's very subjective.
In what way?
It's not objective. It's subjective because where is the empirical data? I'm not talking about feelings and the fiery speeches and the rhetoric. Where's the empirical data that says since 1960, black people started gradually voting for the Democratic Party, we have increased this way, this way, this way.
All right, so the data, you're correct. The data would say that since 1960, when we went Democratic, we still were behind in employment and business. We did get the right to vote. We did get more businesses. We didn't get all we should have. We did get some things. Now, let's go pre-1960 when we was voting Republican. We got nothing, zero. So what I'm saying is that we did not get all we should have since 60, but we got nothing before 60 since 1863 when we got the Emancipation Proclamation from Lincoln. So show me where something is not better than nothing. Under the Republicans, we was returned back to ending Reconstruction. So tell me where that's progress.
When did they turn back Reconstruction?
In the 1880s, under the Republicans.
Well, all I know is the first Republican senator was in 1870. I'm talking about an FBA brother.
Right, and under the Republicans, they got rid of him. Under the Republicans, they got rid of him. You had 9 blacks in the Congress, and when they ended Reconstruction, you ended up with none of them. You're absolutely right, and all of that happened under Republicans.
Yes, and the first Democratic senator was in 1992, and we also have to.
The first Democratic senator.
That's a little senator, 1992. A slight footnote, if I may add, it was a Democrat, Al Gore Sr., who shut down the Senate with the filibuster.
Yes, he was, and he was wrong. He was dead wrong. Dead wrong. But that still does not excuse Strom Thurmond and all the Republicans that wanted to keep segregation laws.
So they were Democrats.
No, and they left the party, and they left the party because the party went against it. That's why they left from being Democrats. Good conversation. But again, tell anybody that wants to talk, we're willing to talk. But when you step up and tell everybody to sit down and shut up and want to do something, you got the wrong group, Doc, because ain't nobody scared of you. We'll go toe-to-toe. Anywhere, anytime, day or night. I'm easy to find. Let's take a break. Be right back. And I'm serious about that because I think people need to not be under the illusion that people are afraid of them. I don't want to fight, don't try to fight. But if you step in like somebody's scared, you need to understand anybody's scared of you, we trying to work with you. But if you come a certain way, we gonna come that way too. And I got a whole lot of young folk, younger than you, that feel the same way. So we deal with it any way you want to come. I'm easy. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain, but love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
Yeah, I'm out at Brooklyn. Now I'm down in Tribeca, right next to the Narrow. But I'll be hood forever. I'm the new Sinatra. And since I made it here, I can make it anywhere. Yeah, they love me everywhere. I used to cop in Harlem. All of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. Pulled me back to that McDonald's. Took it to my stash spot, 560 State Street. Catch me in the kitchen like a Simmons whipping pastry. Cruising down A Street, off-white Lexus. Driving so slow, but BK is from Texas. Me, I'm out that Bed-Stuy, home of that boy Biggie. Now I live on Billboard, and I brought my boys with me. Say what up to Tata, still sipping my top. Sitting courtside, Knicks and Nets give me high five. I be spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from. Hey.
So high off the ground, sending for an angel to bring me high. Girl, where did you come from? Got me so undone. Gazing your eyes got me saying, what a beautiful lady. No ifs, ands, or maybes. Releasing my heart and it's feeling amazing. There's no one else that matters. You love me, and I won't let you fall, girl.
Don't get it twisted. Everybody hollering loud ain't saying something. We need activists that are at large, but we need those that will continue these institutions and these organizations. If you are what you should be, you don't have to have nobody step aside. People will push you up.
it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not going to throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. It's Exhale Friday, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. DJ Biggs is saying on the message board, Generation X to Generation Alpha will be taking the torch from the ancestors of this soil who they are connected to. The power is going to hit different, and there will be no stopping them. And that's absolutely right. But I think that, and I don't even know where this comes from, the people planted in people's head that they ought to sit down with no effort, no study, no work, and somebody's supposed to pass them a torch. You got to be part of the movement to get a torch passed. And I just think that, and it may be unknowing, I'll be open-minded to that. Maybe they don't know no better. But it is an illusion to think that somebody's going to come break in your house and drag you out the bed and give you the torch. You got to be in something to inherit the leadership of it. Man, y'all ought to sit down. Well, are you a member of an organization? Are you a member of a group? Or have you started a group? If you start a group, why has anybody got to sit down? You in charge of the group. But you can't come into somebody else's thing and tell them how to do whatever they're doing and jump ahead of the young people that's helped to be there. That doesn't even make sense to you. So I think we need to stop that. And that goes for any discipline, any group. I remember when I was growing up, you had those of us that were in Operation Breadbasket, and you had those that were in the NAACP, and you had the Black Panther Party, and you had nationalist groups, and you had the Nation of Islam. And none of them expected the next generation of leadership to just take it and the ones that were the elders just get out the way. Whitney Young died in Africa, and then they put Vernon Jordan in. Nobody told Whitney get out the way. Nobody told Ephrata Randall get out the way. He's 73 years old when he called the March on Washington that King spoke at. Nobody told the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to get out the way. Malcolm, and then when Malcolm decided to leave left, Minister Farrakhan praised Elijah Muhammad. I mean, where do y'all get this from? That's why I say either you're not that bright or you work for somebody, because that don't come out our way. And let me bring this other point. Stephen Miller is in his mid-30s, age of my daughters. He helped to engineer and elect a 79-year-old man named Donald Trump, who will be 80 years old this month. They ain't fighting between generations. They're fighting about power and control. If they got to use an old man like Trump to get in, which is what they did, that's what they did. You don't hear Stephen Miller and them young 30-year-old right-wingers talk about age. They talk about agenda. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to the sage of the South in Atlanta, Georgia, Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, good afternoon, Brother Al.
How you doing?
I'm great, sir. How you feeling?
I'm good.
Good. Yeah, let me answer that question you just asked first, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Where did it come from, right? Since the empirical evidence that you presented from the experiences of organizations, we didn't see that. You know what I mean? I was a young member of the Nation of Islam, and when I joined, I didn't ask, could the leadership in upstate New York disappear and just give my little young, energetic black self all the power.
You mean you didn't? Know what I mean? You didn't tell Captain Shaw to sit down?
No, I ain't telling none of them to sit down. Just move over.
Right.
Let me have it.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm coming in with all this zest and zeal, and then putting no work in. But I'm the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And just like you said, when I came in, there were other young brothers that was there before me. So I'm even telling them, move over to the side. You know what I mean? The gift has arrived.
Right.
You know what I'm talking
about?
Right. The beautiful thing about the Nation of Islam was that they put your butt to work. We're going to see how much of a gift you got. You know what I'm talking about? They throw them 300 newspapers underneath your arm and put this other responsibility on you. Let's see if you really committed, you know what I mean, to your own idea of leadership by doing this doggone work, selling this fish, recruiting people to come in. Let's see. So we put a test to it to see if you really who you say you are. You know what I mean? Or were you just an ambitious, eager young man that just wanted to get your idea out there with no experience? And some of them didn't even have places to stay and wanted to be in charge. You know what I mean? So I agree with you 100%. But where they got it from, Reverend Al, the evidence is clear that the United States government is showing us even today how they go into these foreign countries, and one of the first things they do is entice the youth in those countries to become dissatisfied with their leadership. So the evidence is still there. They still use this same strategy. You know what I mean? And if the people just do the basic research on them, J. Edgar Hoover and the COINTEL program and et cetera, part of that agenda was to disrupt the leadership. You know what I mean? Put young people in to spread dissatisfaction. And that's exactly what they did then, and that's exactly what they do today.
Right.
Because other than that, they wouldn't come in here with that particular foolishness. They never changed their game, Reverend Al. If it works for them, they keep it going all the time. And I like what you say, period, most of the time. If by any chance you will step aside, you got leadership right there in your own organization.
That's exactly
that deserve the opportunity to lead. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
So I wanted to throw that answer in there, but I also want to talk about the right space. But go ahead and say what you're going to say, Reverend Al.
No, and Tanya Stovall's on the message board saying she's right. Stephen Miller's 44 years old now. He was in his 30s when Trump went in the first time, but he is 44, which is still almost half Trump's age. And my point is exactly what you say. One of the reasons that I was able to do what I did is I sat as a young person under Reverend William Jones, Reverend Jesse Jack, others, and learned what I did. And there were people with me, my age, that did the same. And that's what happened in the nation. That's what happened in the Panther Party. That's what happened across the board. And I think that you said something profound. I hadn't looked at it that way. The way they do excite dissension is to try to get the young minds, when they go into another country, to turn against the leadership, destabilize the country, and then they take over. It ain't like they're going to give the young folks the country. They take over.
Right. That's right. They just become the tools. And we have the evidence of it. You know, one guy asked you for evidence earlier. and let me say this: the conversation you had with the brother, he said that under Democratic leadership, you see all of this damage to our people.
Right.
Now, I'd like to know. So he's saying that what we did when we came along in the 50s and 60s was that we were doing good and we messed it all up. That's what he's actually saying. I mean, he's saying that we just made issues out of nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was going real good. The Democrat, the Republicans, the white man was treating us real well. What did y'all argue about?
Right.
You disrupted a good thing.
Yep.
How stupid can you be, right now? He's not even looking at history. You know what I mean? Right? Would you agree?
I totally agree.
I heard this argument earlier. Yeah, the argument earlier. And what he said, look, our families were this in the 50s, and now we're this, and et cetera. So we were doing real good. Wasn't no need to interrupt nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because what they do, our issue isn't, for the most part, the example they're using about family life. Our family life wasn't destroyed by Democrats. You know what I mean? Our family life, we basically had families, right? And we taught those families, right? It wasn't a Democrat that came in and said, let's destroy the black family.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Our behavior destroyed it, whether we're Republican or Democrat.
That's right. That's
our
right.
moral character change, whether we're the Republicans or Democrats.
That's right.
They're using examples of black failure that don't fit the criteria that we're talking about. And I'll end with this, Reverend Al. The protection for the Voting Rights Act was to protect. We had the act, the right to vote, but the act was necessary to protect it. Now, why was it necessary to protect it? Everything was so good. Why was it necessary to protect it? Because they were scheming to circumvent the vote. What are they doing today? Scheming to circumvent the vote again. And now they don't have to scheme. They're doing it straight up.
Right.
Straight out. I'm going to wipe out this black district. I'm going to wipe out your representation. I'm going to wipe this and this out. So they even show you now today why the need for the protection was there. So what this brother was saying, that white folks were so good, the evil white folks were so doggone good, we didn't need no protection. And if you remember, Reverend Al, when they first started this movement, not the first part, but in the critical part of this movement, and this is when I became skeptical, when I began to hear Republicans quoting Dr. King.
Yes.
I said, now, why are they doing that?
Yeah.
We believe in the judge the man by the integrity. And I said, now, why all of a sudden all these doggone Republicans quoting Dr. King?
Right.
Because they were setting up the pretext for this argument.
That's exactly
knowing doggone well, you know what I mean, that they were being hypocritical. So, and what they're doing now is doing exactly what we said they would do if the protection was taken away. And these Negroes call you, asking you why you saying A, B, C, D, F, G. They are agents, even if the white man hasn't hired them, they hired themselves.
Yeah.
They're stupid mentality.
Self-employed agents. Thank you for your call, as always. And just sometimes I think they need to understand that they ain't selling no wolf tickets here. Ain't nobody scared of them. We just disagree with them. Like I saw, I think it was Tanya Stovall said somebody was on the message board raising it. I mean, come on. We can have a dialogue. I'm on 3 hours every day. But don't come with no wolf tickets like somebody, like you say boo and I'm supposed to jump. I done fought this government. I'm sure not afraid of you. Come on, let's talk like we got good sense. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, that doesn't mean you become narcissistic, where you think the whole world's about you. But no, you develop a strong, healthy ego. That's right, I said it. Nothing wrong with a strong, healthy ego that makes you determined to
be what others gave up on being, who may have had ability to be it, but they were too weak and they didn't think enough of themselves to do it. Think enough of yourself to do something with yourself. Unapologetic. And it is also in self-awareness and self-acknowledgement and pushing yourself forward. Again, not in a narcissistic way, not in a it's me and only me way, but in a healthy ego way. Where yes, I'm gonna help others because that's who I am, not because I feel less than and I feel that I'm compensating something by helping others. No, I'm fulfilling me. Yes, I'm gonna build and strengthen a family because that's who I am, not because I've been beat down to do it. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate your uniqueness. Celebrate your achievements. Your first responsibility in life is what you do with you. God already gave you life and certain gifts and talents unique unto you. Now what you do with it, and if you do well with it, celebrate it. Unapologetic.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people, and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, you know, all of this about our friend Barack announcing today, I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history. It looks bad now. Look at Iran. Look at what's going on in Minnesota. Look on. Yeah, but I was raised by them to realize that after storms, if we do the right thing in the storm, if we organize, if we register, if we do what we're supposed to do, there's always a rainbow coming out. The rainbow don't show until the storm is over. The rainbow gonna come out in November. The rainbow gonna come out in 28. We gonna fix these tricks in 26 and march through the gates in 28. We didn't come this far to turn around now. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. No justice! No justice! 62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Shear knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the car center, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to us, Al, Meeks, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said, disciples? And for years we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior said, here's disciple number 1. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return. But I talked to him about 3 years ago, and I reminded him, I said, remember you brought me to the door of no return? He said, yeah. I said, well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you had.
America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
You live, sir.
We have Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. It's Exhale Friday, 1-877-532-5797.
Reverend Williams.
1-877-532-5797. Let us welcome on, as we do every Friday to close the show, the last hour of the week, is the senior pastor of the historic King Solomon Baptist Church in Detroit, head of national expansion and Michigan State Chair of the National Action Network, the Reverend Charles Williams II. How you doing, Reverend?
All is well, and Rev, as always, it's good to be with you on yet another Exhale Friday. You know, Rev, everybody's been talking about it, and you've been talking about it all week. 65 Voting Rights Act has been effectively gutted and challenged. And it's just a reminder, to be honest with you, Rev, that it's our time and it's on our watch. They're not trying to take us back, they're taking us back. But if they want to go back, then we'll go back with them, and we'll pick up the same fight we used then to push us forward right now. Rev, I don't spend a lot of time on Exhale Fridays talking about what we should have done and what we didn't do and what we did and who didn't do what they were supposed to do. I like to spend my time talking about what we must do. And what we must do is simple: organize, educate, and mobilize. So I invite folks every Friday. I do this, and I'll continue to do it for as long as I'm here, to join us and get ready for a whole long, hot summer of action. A summer that registers voters and educates our communities and mobilizes our people to vote. Join us, the National Action Network, by going to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call our national office, 877-626-4651. They think they're cutting seats. They think they're shrinking our power, but when we come together, when we build a coalition, we don't lose, we win together. And Rev, a hearty go Pistons, go Detroit Pistons for tonight's championship game.
I'm not even going to get in that debate. All right.
Oh, come on.
I'm not getting in that. Let me call Spike Lee. I'll get somebody on the other side. Let's go to the phones. 1-877-532-5797. Go to Atlanta, Georgia, to Yessie. Yessie, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
General Al.
Yes, sir.
Rev, giving honor to our Heavenly Father first off. Getting into the mix for Exhale Friday. Whew. This is kind of wild. I spoke earlier about separation, and I believe we think we're talking about the same separation between blacks and whites that would have existed during the era of the late 50s, 60s. That's not the separation we're talking about anymore. This separation has to do with a entity, and we've known this entity all of our lives as the United States of America. And there's some separations that we're not fully educated on. Like Reverend just said, we need to teach, especially our younger people, actual facts as to how these 13 colonies became what we're presently subject to, which includes what freedoms or lack of freedoms we had before encountering this people. Now, I say that in honoring our Heavenly Father first, in that we talk about boycotting, we talk about strategies against the foe. And with those strategies against the foe, we have to have strategies to build the next Greenwood. But that strategy has to include how we care for each other in a new dynamic of commerce. Because right now we're lulled into a dynamic of commerce which prophetically isn't that proper.
Well, but okay. Well, you still have not explained to me what the new separation is. When you talk about being separate, what does that mean?
It's a cultural separation, and that separation is: are you going to admit that there's a sovereign power that is some kind of way involved with this, and that there may be powers in power that are not going to do what is just, and we may have to make that separation, whether you call it Democratic or Republican.
Okay.
If it's the entire system, how do we navigate righteously, not just out of greed, not out of being oppressed, not out of what we have to, our motivation has to be established. And right now we're motivated over the trinkets and the glittery things that our oppressors advertise to us, when we don't even get the education we need to be anyone but their consumers. And I'm not capping on us, but we can logically and reasonably work together at that point from all organizations to consolidate our front. And my personal opinion is, we know the Sabbath was changed. That's a place to start at. It's a place to start because it says this is worldwide. We're listening to you, Iran and Iraq and other nations, but we, the people of this nation that are not the United States of America, and we have to be willing to make that separation. There's an entity here that's evil, and we're trying to clean it up by voting. But the scriptures and common sense says we need to get as far away from this thing as we can.
And go where?
And
go where? Get it far away and go where?
Yeah. The far away is in contract. It's in our announcement of a separation. And I don't have to.
You can announce. Wait. You can announce you're separate, but you have to define what makes you separate. Because if you're still geographically here, then you're going to be under the laws that govern here. And if you're not under the laws that govern here, then you're subject to them saying you're doing something illegal and they punish you. So I'm saying, if you're saying don't deal with the voting, be separate and go where and do what?
Be separate and go no place.
Then you're under this law.
No. We're not under their law. We need to examine the law and make sure that their jurisdiction as a corporate entity does not apply to us, because that might mean.
How do you do that? If they make a law, Yessie, that we're not going to do X amount. Wait. Those in power.
I'm listening. I apologize.
Those in power. If they make a law that we're not going to do contracts with people in the black community because they call it DEI, and we're not going to give the same amount of funds to the schools even though you pay the taxes, right? If they make the law, we are under that law unless we put other people in there to change the law. If you say, no, I'm not going to have nothing to do with y'all, if you don't pay the taxes to them, you're going to jail because you're under that law. You can tell yourself you're not. But if they find out you have a business and you're not paying the tax, you're either going to pay it or you're going to jail. So I'm asking you, how do you do that? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
If they're counting us as I am counting them as a separate entity, I'm not counting black or white. They're a separate political entity from me. And I have the right to be separate from them because they're a business. and within specific laws of commerce, specific laws of admiralty, we as a people that announce we're not with them, they then have to commit a crime against us, which is not a crime because we're under them. It's a crime because you're trying to force me into a contract with you. And this is what the mark of the beast is about as far as Scripture goes. They're going to demand that you have their mark or you don't get to buy, sell, or trade. Isn't that what the Scripture says?
Yeah, and the Scripture also says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar, render unto God what is God. You didn't answer my question. How do we operate separate, but we are under the laws that are there, or we are punished by those? That you didn't answer that.
No,
all of us have to pay taxes. Everybody got paid today. Their taxes was taken out. If they're in the business for themselves, they have to pay taxes, or they can be prosecuted. We can talk separate all we want.
I agree with you, Reverend, but I'm not saying they're not going to attack us. They're going to do that anyway.
Okay.
The Scriptures don't even say we get the victory there. Our victory is actually in faith in doing what our Heavenly Father asks us to do, which is come out from amongst them, my people, lest you partake of their sins and receive of their plagues.
All right, I get you now.
And
all right, thank you for your call. Let's take our break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Williams, be right back.
Without a church. A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice
with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor, who stayed right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain. But love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality.
This organization has been on the front line. People ask me, why do families call us? Because we never leave them. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? When do we want it? When do we want it?
In London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys! What's up, Doc?
Keeping it real, keeping it real.
We are in.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Charles Williams II is our co-host. Reverend Williams, as we see the impact of the voting rights decision this week by the Supreme Court, and that is why I'm doing the special on Politics Nation the next 2 nights, because I want people to hear from people right in the thick of it. It is going to also shift a lot of weight on those of us in those areas, like Philadelphia, like Baltimore, like New York, like Detroit, like Chicago, that have not been redistricted yet, that got to come out, and where we were getting 40, 50% turnout, Atlanta, we're going to have to get 70, 80% turnout. Because even though if they get away with, in some states, redrawing the lines of Congress, which is supervised by the state houses, state Senate, state legislators, and county and city council people, the federal voting they can't change in those states because there's no lines for the state. If you live in that state, you can vote for the senator, vote for the governor, and vote for the president. The district lines don't matter, which means Detroit and New York and all of us need to come out in bigger numbers so that we can protect what we can protect and go forward as we fight in the streets and other places to back this up. What I proposing you give us a capsule view of what's going on in Michigan in terms of the elections right now and why that's important.
Well, Rev, I think there's a couple of reasons why it's important. First, if you think about what we had and where we are now, at one point in time we had a Congresswoman Cheeks Kilpatrick, and then we had a John Conyers, and before them we had a Diggs and a Conyers, and before then we had a Barbara Rose and a Conyers. We had 2 African Americans that sat at the Democratic table as well as sat at the congressional table that helped construct not just Detroit policy, because as you well know, John Conyers did a wonderful job at leading in the civil rights movement from voting rights and civil rights all the way up until he left Congress. But we lose that type of power at the table when it comes to the federal level. Currently now, the only black congressman we have in the state of Michigan, I'm going to be very clear, in the state of Michigan, out of 14 seats, is John James, who's a Republican out in Macomb County. We don't even have black congressmen in Detroit now. Why? Because the redistricting that favored having progressive liberal seats more than it favored having black seats has watered down our opportunity to have black representation. When you lose that black representation, and I think this is what people got to really be clear about, not only do you lose it from the federal representation and potentially national leadership from a congressional standpoint, but you also are losing Democratic power holes or black Democrat power centers that you would not have if you don't have a black super delegate in the Democratic Party through a congressional seat, which you well know, because you ran for president, that super delegates can make a difference just as well as a regular delegate can. We saw it when Hillary Clinton and Obama were running, the differences that super delegates could make, and what John Lewis did when he stood up, because John Lewis was a black African American congressional senator, when he stood up as a super delegate and led black super delegates towards Obama. So, that means the loss of resources, that means the loss of political power on the federal level, as well as that means the loss of power within the Democratic Party. And that's a serious blow. That's a serious blow for when it comes to things like infrastructure grants. City of Detroit and state of Michigan and places like Philly, places like Milwaukee, places like Cleveland got considerable amount of resources. Why? Because they had people like Stephanie Tubbs Jones and others who were advocating for their communities and making sure that dollars got back to their communities. But they were also advocating within the Democratic Party, as well as many may say they are our friends, and I'm not suggesting they aren't. But if we don't have people there who are actually within the rules, can hold them accountable, we lose power there too.
Let's go to Nicola in Washington State of Washington. Nicola.
Yes, good afternoon, Reverend.
Good afternoon.
Williams and Reverend Sharpton. Thank you for having me on. I know this may have been covered already, but Congress has the power to overturn that bad Supreme Court decision.
Congress has the power to have a new piece of legislation. That is correct. They can't overturn that.
Yes.
But they can, which
right.
is why you need the Congress to be, I think, under King Jeffries and them, because you need a new voting rights bill. Then they would have to go all the way back up through the, would take years to try to get it back to the Supreme Court if they try to overturn that. You're absolutely right. How we got the first voting rights bill was the Congress. You're right.
Yes. So with that said, I believe our focus as a movement, as a coalition, pardon me for saying our movement, but I do feel a part of the civil rights movement.
And you are.
It should be, thank you, sir, for being a coalition to get the midterms back into Democratic hands. And the reason I say coalition is because you're focused, I'm focused, Reverend Williams, the people listening are focused on this Louisiana, decision, but a lot of people who are out there, white people, other people who are not focused on this, do want to defeat the Republicans. So as we go into the midterms, I feel like we need to keep building the coalition, keep talking about broad issues together, and understand that if this is going to be codified or changed, this decision is going to be changed by law, we need to first win the midterms, and we need to do it with a coalition. That's my feeling, sir.
Yeah, I think it can not be done any other way victoriously. You've got to remember when we had the 1965 Voting Rights Act. I was 10 years old. I wasn't involved, but I was mentored by those that were there. They had coalition. Whites got killed in Selma. Viola Luisa was killed.
Yeah.
Come out of your state, Reverend Williams, to go and help give her car to be a carpool to help people go a march, go back and forward. So it was always a coalition.
Yes.
And I think we must have a coalition based on everybody's self-interest. I couldn't agree with you more, Nicola. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. I hear the music. I'll be right back after the break. Keeping it real. All right, I got to get over the studio.
Michael Jackson is the highest selling artist of all time. No one has sold more records in the history of the planet than Michael Jackson. But Michael Jackson said to us, he did not want to just raise the issue of what's happening with him. He said that artists all over the world need people to stand up and protect their rights. And he said, Reverend, if we're going to stand up, if it's for all artists, I'm there. As you know, there's a big rally. His fan club is doing this afternoon. But he said, I'm coming to Harlem this morning to meet with community leaders because we want justice in the music industry for all artists. Now there'll be some that say, oh, Michael, are you doing this only because of your situation? Michael came to Harlem 2 months ago for the DNC. Now he comes for his own peers because we discussed it. Kathy and I talked about how we watched James Brown struggle, Little Richard struggle. We've seen artists, black and white and Latino struggle. Somewhere this has to stop. We do not buy records. We do not buy CDs to give money to the company. We buy it to support the artists that we like. And we want the artists to be free. We don't want the companies bigger than the artists. We want the people respected and the stars that we make stars to shine in the galaxy for us. And let me say this is the 4th of July weekend. Michael Jackson is an American story. Him and his family rode from Gary, Indiana, to where he's an icon all over the world. Didn't no one give him anything. He sung, he danced, he created, he produced, he spent hours in the studio. No executive did that for him. You do not have the right to take from someone what you didn't put in them. He created where he is. We appreciated it. We didn't hear about Michael when he got to Sony. We knew Michael at ABC when he was in Gary. They got thrilled when he did Thriller. We was already thrilled. We were already off the wall. And we coming off our seats to stand up for justice in the music industry. And let me say one more thing. I don't need that loud talking now. We're on the rail. I want people to hear the message. Let me say something. I read one newspaper said, well, the record company saying they're going to wait and put out the best of Michael Jackson. You can't put out the best of Michael Jackson because the best of Michael Jackson is yet to come. He's still creating. He's still innovating. He's still the king. He's still ours and we're still his. Fans all over the world. Thousands came out in London. Thousands will come out in New York. All over the world, we're going to make it clear that our artists should not be paying back things they had no input in. The promotion budgets. James M. Tume will lay it out. The video budgets. All of this is charged to the artists, yet the artists have no discretion over what to say. So if they want to buy an ad with their friend, Michael can't tell them buy it in Jet Magazine. Because they decide the budget and charge it to the artists. That's why many of these artists have no money at the end of their career. But he wanted to fight while he was on top. So it will help your child not have to fight one day to go through what they've had to go through. Sammy Davis Jr. died broke. His wife had to become a waitress. Michael said, I owe it to Sammy. I owe it to James Brown. I owe it to Little Richard. We're going to stop this once and for all. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, the call-in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of Keeping It Real. 2 decades of truth-telling, fearless advocacy, and keeping the people informed and empowered. Thank you for always speaking power to justice and standing firm for what's right. Here's to 20 years of impact and many more to come.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Reverend Charles Williams is our co-host. Let me again remind you, this weekend is 2 specials. Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. Both Saturday and Sunday are specials around the voting rights decision of the Supreme Court. You can watch it 5 p.m. Eastern Time, both nights. On the Saturday night, I will have live Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic minority leader of the U.S. Congress, leading the fight there around this voting rights fight. I will also have one of the 2 black congressmen from Louisiana that's directly impacted by the decision, Congressman Troy Carter. I will have the former Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, who fought this in the case of Shelby versus Holder, where they started little by little breaking down our rights. They will all be on tomorrow. And I will have on Yvette Clarke, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, on what they intend to do from here. It is really, really serious times for us to watch, be informed, and see what the map and the plan is. Then on Sunday, I'm going to have the other of the black congressmen that is impacted in Louisiana by this decision, Congressman Cleo Fields. I will also have Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and others. 2 special nights. Make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. and spread the word. Text people this time and say you're upset about the Voting Rights Act. Let's see what they're going to do. Watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now, both nights. Then you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally in the morning as we deal with our national ramifications of how to respond. Now, we talked about in our national convention that it was possible and probably likely that we were going to get there. So we have some steps that we're going to outline in the morning that we're going to begin this fight around voting rights. And let me tell you, whether you are for affirmative action, DEI, or reparations, if we don't have the vote to put people in power, you won't get any of that. So it is imperative that we have a strategy and that we work. Even if we're not all on the same page, we're in the same book. So make sure you're at the rally in the morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the historic Mother AME Zion Church, historic church in Harlem, 137th Street and Lenox Avenue. Reverend Williams, what's going on in Detroit National Action Network?
Tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the historic King Solomon Baptist Church. We are, as I said, lifting off our long, hot summer. We've got several candidates that'll be coming by to talk about their campaigns. But more importantly, we are commissioning folks to get out there and get into action and prepare to register folks to vote. So join us tomorrow, 10 a.m., historic King Solomon Baptist Church, 6114th Street, for the Michigan National Action Network Saturday Action Rally.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Marcia McCoy, the irreplaceable head of the Greater Cleveland chapter of National Action Network. You're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
I want to thank you to our honorable founder, Reverend Kevin. To our honorable founder, President, and the Reverend Kevin is stop moving, darling. Stop moving. Thank you to our honorable founder, president, leader, and distinguished proficient in his profession. Professor Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, and our graduate, Reverend Kevin is stop moving. I'm sorry, radio listeners. Graduate Reverend Dr. Charles Williams, where the Midwest is the best. This Tuesday, May the 5th, is our midterm primary election. Polls are open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Politics are local. Ohio is 2026, and it's a must that we get rid of the trick in 2026. Join us as we knock on doors all weekend to get out the vote. Stay woke, go vote. Vote early, vote often, vote always. Call me if you want to get involved. 216-374-0913. 216-374-0913. 216-374-0913. Come on, Bishop. It's mule time.
Dr. Al Sharpton.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Charles Williams.
Yes, sir.
Hold my mule, my brother.
I got you, Reverend.
My brothers and my sisters, breaking news, unraveling before our very eyes, is the greatest hoax, the most egregious fraud that has ever been perpetrated upon the American people. And it is the unmitigated lie of MAGA, which claims to make America great again, being revealed to be in essence and reality the making of America white again. Please, my brothers and my sisters, let's keep it real, like Al Sharpton said. What we see in the convicted Donald J. Trump's era is a bold and bodacious attempt to legitimize and popularize raw, obscene racism. Convicted felon criminal Donald Trump has made it crystal clear that he wants a white supremacist America, a bigoted white nationalist America that demeans, demotes, and denigrates people of color and marginalized stature. If you're white, you're right. If you're yellow, you're mellow. If you're brown, stick around. But if you're black in this racist, biggot's mind and time, black, hit back. I will never understand how 17% of black men drank Jim Jones Kool-Aid and voted for this convicted Nazi bigot in 2024. He was a racist bigot then, and he is a Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking bigot now. A skunk is a skunk is a skunk and will always be a skunk. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. This notorious, scandalous, chauvinistic, narcissistic, self-absorbed piece of work is to make America white as you can. When you observe him in his hatred of black people that began when he lied and claimed that Barack Obama was not born in the United States, refused to rent to black people, install a racist Pete headset that proudly refuses to promote black generals upon the lying premise that diversity, equity, and inclusion got them where they were instead of merit. Convicted felon Donald Trump, America, is the one that will tell 21 lies every given day and look you right into your eyes and tell you that he has done more for blacks since America, Abraham Lincoln, than anyone else has done. In fact, he has done more to hurt, to harm black people than any president in modern history. This Nazi white nationalist era of convicted felon Donald Trump has weaponized the federal government against black people in the Supreme Court, the silent Senate, and the puppet Speaker and House of Representatives. On every level, it's anti-African American. He is on record paying white people to come to America, like Norway and Greenland. His hypocrisy is his real self and has no conscience whatsoever about promising one thing and doing another. He solemnly promised to end all wars. Now he has unilaterally initiated a war with Iran that is costing the American people $2 billion a day, escalating food prices, gas prices, inflation, and other alarming atrocities that decimate the living of American people. He cuts taxes for his rich millionaire and billionaire friends and imposes tariffs that further inflict pain and poverty upon poor people trying to survive from day to day. The clock, my brothers and my sisters, is ticking, and time is running out for a democracy that is gradually but surely turning out to be an authoritarian dictatorship headed by a fellow Jeffrey Epstein 10-year sex child trafficker by the name of Donald Trump. For God's sake, rid this nation of these crooks in 26. Thank you, Doctor.
We are Reverend Williams.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no, I'm walking in the studio. Let me thank Reverend Charles Williams. Let me
Thank you.
all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you all weekend long, keep it real. Keep it real.